Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be looking at the good old days of 2008 Runescape and take another nostalgia trip down memory lane. More specifically, we'll be diving into how awesome stealing creation was back in the day, and what sort of overpowered strategies came along with it, and most importantly, should Jagex bring back one of the most loved minigames within RuneScape of all time. With that being said, let's head straight into the juicy information and get started with the video. Back in November of 2008, Jagex released the Great Stealing Creation located within Gamer's Grotto, a members-only safe minigame. No items, no pets, nothing worn or within the inventory of a player could be taken into this minigame. There was you, yourself, and the others around you. Dark grey fog all around you, the scene and tone were set as each game could last up to 20 minutes. So what made this classical minigame so special? What made it so amazing, and why is it until now that it is the most requested minigame for Jagex to bring back to old school RuneScape? Fondly remembered by many players, stealing creation was so well known and unique for the pure amount of diversity it gave to the players themselves, and they weren't alone, they were playing the minigame with others. Everyone, including skillers, combat, PvP, and much more, had numerous strategies and a part in the game. It had an enormous social aspect, and you were most likely to make friends and build communities all within one minigame. It just made everything a lot more interesting. There was also a handful of useful rewards that played a hand into making it one of the most well-constructed and best minigames of all time. It was an absolute blast to play, a real joy to participate in, and had this amazing feeling of reward. It was something more than just special. It was unique and holds some of the greatest memories for a lot of us. It was a PvP minigame, but unlike something such as, let's say, Pest Control, which was a minigame that sort of tried to encourage group activities, but for the most part, most players would still kind of just ignore everyone else and would just do their own thing. On the flip side, the PvP nature of stealing creation encouraged players to be social and work together in order to win. The awesome sense of teamwork that came from working together in order to win was of course one of the greatest aspects of this minigame. That on top of the fact that playing the minigame had variety which kept it intriguing, it had just a lot of quirks and unique factors that I didn't even know myself until today. If you just do a little bit of research, you'll find various videos showing off some pretty damn cool strategies, playstyles, and tactics you can use in order to become victorious within the minigame. Now I think my personal favorite, which is Super Snake and just a little bit evil, was that you could actually pickpocket random items from your opponents. This was only possible if you weren't engaged within combat, and you had to be no less than 20 levels below them in order to pickpocket, but that's still a pretty huge gap. RuneScape is a top-down game, meaning sneaking is just a little bit difficult. However, if you manage to get behind someone literally 20 levels above you and steal their good old sweet loot, it was literally the most satisfying thing. Snake and evil, yes. Super satisfying, also yes. Now brings up the question relating to the title of the video. Why was it overpowered? How could a minigame be overpowered? It's not a weapon, it's not an item, it's a minigame. Now this is actually pretty easy to answer. It's mainly because of the ratio when it comes to rewards and efficiency. A huge chunk of time spent within the minigame was very close and just about as efficient as doing anything else within RuneScape that the community would consider efficient. This is because you would get the tools that would possibly give you double XP as well as bonus XP. This allowed the rewards to be tailored towards whatever you wanted to train and made the process of training a specific skill a lot easier, faster, and overall better. Not to mention, it was just generally more fun for most players compared to other grinding methods that were available at the time. Now to be fair, currently it only gives you bonus XP, but back then you would be able to use certain tools in order to double your XP to a certain extent. Now eventually it just became faster to skill rather than play the minigame, which honestly makes sense, but the main point and focus was that the minigame was just much more fun and allowed people to transfer their playtime and hours into rewards that were genuinely useful. Something a lot of older minigames really do lack, and still do lack. Now let's be honest here, of course a lot of nostalgia is to be had with this minigame, but this is really only enhanced by Efficiency-scape, as it sort of ruined a lot of old minigame communities. Most prominent of them all is a minigame like Castle Wars, which just had so much crazy hype back in the day, but it is mostly dead today apart from maybe a very niche competitive community. However, Stealing Creation is, well, simply put it, very different. It actually had a very relevant system that offered very useful rewards. This would make it so that it remained popular even to this day. Players today are heavily reward oriented, meaning it wouldn't just fit in modern RuneScape, but it would probably just excel at it. Now, it's important to note that Jagex has released content from RuneScape's 2007 era that were actually not originally in the release of OSRS back in 2013, one main example being the ZMI altar. This means that it's not actually completely impossible for them to release stuff like Stealing Creation in the future, but the real question is, should they? Well, I personally think they most definitely should. It has a lot going for it, and even though it's a minigame that came out literally over a decade ago, its design, purpose, fun element, and useful rewards have all proven to make it a super future-proof minigame that still holds up till today, and could perfectly fit OSRS. Not to mention the massive amount of hype that it would bring so quickly. Just imagine all the classical players from 2008 just flocking back to play Stealing Creation within OSRS, some for just the sake of nostalgia and others to just genuinely enjoy something new. It would most likely also bring in new players. I think the minigame would have a lot of hype and a lot of positive feedback. The rewards were already pretty great, but they would still need some sort of adjusting to fit the new OSRS community and the current playstyle of most RuneScape players. Now, this actually affects a lot of minigames. It's usually not that the games are not fun, but the player decline comes from something else. Now, I mean, if you just take a quick look into the forums of RuneScape, the player feedback is quite clear. Bring up a lot of various minigames into the conversation and you'll quickly see players popping up and saying how much fun or the great memories they had, but the rewards were just not good enough. This is a natural process. As RuneScape receives various updates and changes pretty regularly, it means that the game and its playstyle also change. Players will outgrow the contents within a minigame, and this in turn makes the minigame simply not worth it. It's honestly sad, but it does make sense if we really want to look at it. RuneScape's core design was made to grind. If you're a RuneScape player, there is absolutely no hiding the fact you're already pouring hours upon hours of playtime into the game. It has a hard and rewarding grind, a great character building system, and lets you as the player play the way you want, build the character you envision. With that being said, we're human. The hours upon hours of grind and playtime leads players to eventually want to be efficient about basically everything. They want to do things that build their character and level them up, grow them, and most importantly, things that help lead them towards the character that they originally envisioned or the goals that they set for themselves. We inevitably get bored and burnt out, so the new content added within RuneScape, as well as finding the most efficient path to get that content, are two very core fundamentals that need to be applied to not only minigames but basically the whole game, including quests and other things. With all that being said, it's time to wrap up the video. If you did enjoy it, then hit that like button and let us know what you personally think about Stealing Creation. What was your favorite part about it? Did you enjoy it, and do you want it back? And while you're down there, I'll be looking at all your opinions, so why not leave some feedback on this video so I can improve future ones. Subscribe for more content, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.